Hello, and today we are going to be looking at a scenario where the Mediterranean Sea becomes a country. So the Mediterranean Sea is a very important piece of water in the world because that's for a lot of reasons. For example, how are you to expect to get through Africa instead of going from, for example, France all the way down through here to India or through here? Now people have to go through around the entirety of Africa again. Yeah. And the Suez Canal is basically useless. So yeah, let's get into it. And for the video sakes, we're gonna be saying that this thing has had a little bit of time to develop and it has a capital city. So the first thing the Mediterranean Sea is going to do is declare war on Malta. When their troops enter, that's not much of a surprise. And this thing is a pretty big nation, I would say. Then the Mediterranean Sea is going to go after Tunisia. Like, if I can get the colors, I've recorded in a little. Not like that. Like this. Mediterranean troops do start in entering in through the northern and eastern parts. But Tunisia is a pretty strong country because this thing is sort of weak, so they push back a little, almost reaching the Sicilian parts. Then they push that back because Tunisia is also, I'd say, a little weak. I'm not sure. Let me research. So I did a little bit of research, and they're having issues. So, and I'm guessing because they don't have any coastline now, and that kind of makes a little bit of an issue for the Tunisians. Let's look at a peace treaty. And the Mediterranean Sea will be fully annexing this country. But then something else will be happening because people are kind of mad that this thing exists. So some countries are going to make a pact against this thing. Let's see what countries join this. Okay, so that is a lot. France, Spain, Italy, Greece, Algeria, and Libya. But this is going to definitely cause more issues for the Mediterranean Sea because the Greeks are going to be doing something. They are going to be invading Bulgaria in order to get access to the Black Sea for a coastline. For sakes, we'll just keep it yellow. As the Greek troops will start by invading and getting pretty close to their capital, Sofia, I think. Yeah, they will be pushed back in that area. But in these other parts, they do make a spearhead that goes up north and pushes and separates the Bulgarians and kind of splits them. But then the Turkish were third party this war, and they would take that area. Actually, they take all the coastlines, which is that's not good for the Greeks. So they will be taking out the rest of Bulgaria. Let's look at a peace treaty. And this is the peace treaty, and the Greeks are a little bit mad at the Turkish because they kind of stole a majority of their coastline. Yeah. But now with the Black Sea kind of being cut off by the Mediterranean Sea not putting any water in, wait, let me check something out. Some lands of the Black Sea will be being drained. Let's see which areas sink. And this is all of the sunken land. And this is the land taken by these countries. And some more countries will be joining the Yellow Alliance. Let's see what countries join it. Okay, so Croatia, Montenegro, Turkey, Syria, and Israel join this thing. And now the Mediterranean Sea is going to go after Albania for some reason. They are going to invade through this thing, and with Albanians now being landlocked, this won't go too well for them, as they will eventually fall. Let's look at the peace treaty. And this is the peace treaty. And the color is kept because the North Macedonians are also declared war on after that. And as the Mediterranean troops move in, Greek troops will also be moving into North Macedonia and try to take out as much of the country as they can to not have them under Mediterranean rule. Let's look at the peace treaty. And this is the peace treaty. Also, Kosovo will be joining the alliance, and so will Bosnia. And so will Cyprus and that Lebanon, and I don't think it's looking too good for the Mediterranean country. And international relations with this thing are low. So one day, these countries will all systematically declare war on the Mediterranean country. All of them. That's a lot of fun to worry about. So the Greek troops will first start by invading into these Albanian areas and quickly take them out. Then the Italian troops will go down in and taking this area and connecting up the Greek troops, closing off the Adriatic area. And then a bunch of troops from Croatia, Bosnia, and Italy will continue to go in and surround the Adriatic and will take it out. This area is taken, and the islands around here this area is being invaded by the Mediterranean country. I mean the red team. But these islands are taken by the Mediterranean country, and so is Crete, and these tiny islands. The Turkish will push down to take Cyprus and be pretty successful and focus a lot on these eastern areas. Egypt will be focusing on the northern parts. But the thing is, a lot of these countries are weak now. Egypt, for example, they lost all the water access almost. They are putting up hard fights, and then this area is taken. This was a big operation in order to take down this country, but the Mediterranean country will be fighting strong. But its biggest downside is it's fully landlocked, and some of these nations kind of have sea access. But Sicily will be taken. And then Greek troops will go around and be taking a bunch of this territory, and eventually they will encircle a bunch of these troops. They will continue to go in, and they will eventually take all of them out. And the Mediterranean country is desperate for allies. As Tunisian things start to appear, as Tunisia starts to be taken, and a big operation is made in order to separate the Mediterranean country in half. And this goes successfully. And But then a couple other nations would join in on this war, particularly not to go against the Mediterranean country or just to go with the Mediterranean country, but to go against countries in the Red Alliance. Let's see what those countries look like. Okay, so Germany, Belgium, Austria, Serbia, Romania, Ukraine, Georgia, Armenia, Iraq, Iran, Sudan, and Portugal will all join in on this war in order to go against any of these countries. Let's start the fighting, with Spanish troops being mainly focused on these areas, and this area is completely encircled. The Portuguese troops will be able to push back a bit, mainly taking their coastal areas. Actually, their inland areas. They will mainly take the inland areas because the coastal areas are being very valued right now. And the front lines eventually will look something like this when the Portuguese push up here and take all this. The Germans, with the Belgiumese help, will push into France, with a majority of the German armies focused in France, and Austrian armies focused in Italy. Serbians will push into Kosovo, not that deep, and into the Albanian areas and take them out, and North Macedonia and Bosnia, and Bulgaria, / Greece. And so will the Romanians be pushing into Greece and Turkey. Georgia, Armenia, and Iraq and Iran will all be pushing in through here to take out these countries. The red team is strong, but so is the blue team. But the Mediterranean team is kind of collapsing as the front lines keep getting pushed in, and this entire western part of the Mediterranean Sea is taken out. These Libyan areas are taken, and eventually this thing will be forced to surrender. Yeah. So now the red things only have to worry about the blue thing. Yeah. And the Sudanese will push into Libya and Egypt. With Egyptian troops going down into here, Sudanese troops will be all the way pushed back and even loss of the coastline, which is a pretty big blow to them. And this is mostly Egypt doing this, but then South Sudan comes into here and pushes into Sudan, eventually connecting and forcing Sudan into surrender. Over here though, this alliance is having a little bit of a problem since these countries are pretty strong. As they push in through here, they will almost get to the areas where coastline would be. Yeah. With Spanish troops arriving in Portugal, the Portuguese are pushed back greatly. Actually, all the way back out of their country, out of the Spanish, and they're gone now. And now Spanish troops are moving up to here, as some other French troops are arriving up here and pushing back the German front. The Serbs are also being pushed back pretty big. Actually, they're gone. And then the Ukrainians, seeing no point in this war, will leave the war. And shortly after that, the Romanians will be forced to surrender. Then the Austrians will be fully kicked out, and just an overwhelming amount of French and Spanish troops will push into Germany. And with some economic issues, not being able to go through the big Mediterranean Sea anymore, that's something. But they still are kind of losing in this front, as Syria, their old territories are taken out, and the western parts of Turkey are taken out. It does go back and forth a lot, but as the coastlines are being more heavily focused on, but they are pushing back in a lot of areas. But eventually a deal will be made with all of these countries, and that's right before the troops from all of this arrive. So, all of these troops here will be arriving today. Let's look at a peace treaty. And this is the peace treaty. So, France takes pretty big parts of Germany. Austria is fully annexed by Italy, and some southern parts are taken. And Germany split. Morocco, Algeria, and Now this looks really close. Greece and Turkey did sort out, if I can get a easier to see color, all these islands here. There's an independent country here. And so also the Red Alliance was only against the Mediterranean Sea. And that doesn't exist anymore, so that got disbanded. But just because the Mediterranean Sea country is out does not mean that this Mediterranean Sea is back. Might just mean let's look at this update. Here are the sunken lands. Not those, these. And these are the lands taken. So the Black Sea is becoming increasingly smaller. But there's still the issue. Many countries kind of want sea access. And some countries are willing to do desperate measures to do this. So there is a plan constructed, and it's going to need many countries to do. What countries will be used to make this plan? Egypt, Libya, Algeria, Spain, France, Italy, Greece, and Turkey will all devise a plan to try and bring back the Mediterranean Sea. And what is that plan, you may exact? Oh, I can remove this, by the way. Oh, in the peace treaty, I forgot to talk about Sudan. But South Sudan took some land and, Sudan is split, east and west. So the Sudan collection is almost complete. We just need a North Sudan to have North, South, East, and West Sudan. But what is this plan? The plan is nuclear bombs. These countries are devising a plan to use nuclear bombs to dig out a path all the way through where the old Mediterranean Sea was, also connecting with the Black Sea. That's the plan. And they are going to ask Britain to maybe help. And the British won't accept. Actually, they will. Yeah. So that should be enough nuclear bombs. Yeah. Let's see. We're going to look at that later. We're going to look at Italy for now, because Italy is attacking this country by themselves. So, they're invading this thing, and because this thing is so new, it gets taken out pretty quickly and fully annexed. Then it kind of looks like they might either go after this country or this country next to get coastline, which will be very, very valuable. Oh, and also Morocco will join this plan. And this plan is going to start. Where exactly will the nukes be dropped? They have all devised exactly where the nukes will be dropped. And some other countries are going to give a side eye to this, like the United States. But these guys aren't going to care, because this is like one of the most important waterways in the world. So where are they going to launch these nukes? Not there. They're going to launch one here, 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 and finally right here. So if you can't really tell, that's kind of a border on the borders of these countries. They're also going to make one here, 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 and here. There. And when these nuclear bombs hit, they make a big, big area where water's going to flow in. Let's see what that looks like. And this is what it looks like. Oh, and also this. Yeah. Wait, what? So this. And eventually it all comes in, and yeah. Which in the end will make this look something like this. But because of this, a bunch of areas will also be coming back, specifically in the Black Sea and partially in the Mediterranean. Let's see what that looks like. Which will look something like this, with the border still there. And without borders, looks like this. And also with the white on the map, looks something like this. Yeah, I know it still looks weird, but at least they still have the thing. And by the way, I think I drew this Moroccan border almost perfectly accurately. And that is actually going to do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed today's video. See you in the next video, and bye!